Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2 Unit 6.1, 6.3 review. Let's go ahead and get started. So, first part says to graph each function. I would want you guys to double check what type of function is it? Yeah, it's a square root. So when we've got a square root, we need to look at the initial point. And I take the opposite of what's inside, and then the 3 stays the same. I look out front to see if there is a negative out here, and there is not. Okay, so I start at the initial point at 2, 3, and then I need to remember the pattern, which is up 1 over 1, up 2 over 4. And now that I've got it, I can graph it. Okay, so if you need to write down the pattern, once again, it's up 1, I said over, but up 1, right 1, and then we go up 2, right 4. Okay, and that's it. Now, it's important to look to see what we have, because this time it's like, oh, Mr. Grice, it's a square root. No, this time it's a cubed root, which is a little bit different. Okay, we still need to know the vertex. We take the opposite, and then the 2 stays the same, but the pattern is a lot different. Okay, now the first point is, as I start to write it down, up 1, right 1, but then we're going to go up 2, right 8, and that's what everybody forgets. We got to go over 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, but that's only part of it, because I have to do the other part, which is down 1, left 1, down 2, left 8. The cube root goes in both directions. Okay, so there we go. Remember, the cubed root is the S shape. And then just make sure that we have arrows. Right, number 3 is just like number 1, except the one thing that's different is that now it's negative, which means it's reflected, where number 1 we went up, number 2 it's going to be going down. Okay, so I need to look at my vertex, or I'm sorry, my initial point, -3, -1. So at -3, -1 I start, and instead of going up 1, right 1, I'm going to go down 1, right 1, down 2, right 4. And there we go. So once again, I'll write down that pattern for you. We went down 1, right 1, down 2, right 4. And remember, at any point you forget what the pattern is, just type it into your graphing calculator. You can do that. Okay, and then number 4 is actually completely different than the other ones. Why is that? Because it's squared. Okay, that means it's a parabola, and it's going down, so it's the downward U. Okay, so once again, I need the vertex, which is the, the opposite, and then the 5 stays the same. So I go to 3, 5, and it's going down, so I go down 1 over 1, 1, 2, 3, down 4 over 2. And then we graph up. That looks a little weird. There we go. Okay, so once again, we should know this pattern. Down 1 over 1, down 4 over 2. Okay, So for these ones, we have to write the equation of the function and state its domain and range. So the first thing we always need to decide, do I have a vertex or an initial point or what's going on? And for number 5, we have an initial point because this is a square root graph. Okay? So I went down 1, right 1, down 2, right 4. Okay, so that's just confirming that it's a square root. My vertex is at, or my initial point, I'm sorry guys, -3, 2. And the other thing that I noticed is that it's going down, so that means it's going to be negative. Okay? So just read the directions because they want a function, so that means I have to start it off as a function. So I do the opposite, the negative, so that tells me that it's reflected. I take the opposite of -3, which is +3, and then my 2 stays the same. Now, take a look at my square root sign. It does not go the entire way, okay? It stops right after the 3. Okay, now, domain, remember domain is your x values. It's from left to right, and it's going to be from -3 to infinity. My range is my y's from low to high. So from low, the lowest that this goes is -infinity. And then the highest that it goes is +2. All right, number 6. So this one, we have to be careful. Remember, just looking at the shape, you should know right away that this is a cube root, okay? And we're looking for that middle point because that's where we have the up one over, or up one, right one, down one, left one. This is the point that we're looking for, the exact middle of it, okay? So the vertex for that is what? Yeah, -1, it looks like 1, 2, -3. So as I write it, once again, it's a function. It's the cube root of x. I take the opposite of -1, which is +1, and the -3 stays the same. Now, domain and range are super easy for these ones because it's just -infinity to +infinity, and the range -infinity to +infinity. All right, number 7, why don't you guys try to pause the video and do it on your own. Good luck. Okay, so we got h of x equals the square root of x minus 1 minus 4. And then the domain from -1 to infinity, and my range from sorry, not -1, Mr. Grice, 1 to infinity, and then -4 to infinity. Okay. Solve the following radical equations, and remember, do not forget to check for extraneous solutions. So for these, we had to solve them, and we were using inverse operations. Okay? So inverse operations, yeah, that's SADMAP. So that means I had to subtract the 28 to both sides. I get -12 minus 28. If you don't know it, just 12 minus 28. Okay, -40. So -40 equals -10. 3x plus 5. We have to get the square root by itself. I need to divide by -10. -40 divided by -10 is a +4. And then, do you guys remember how to get the square root by itself? Well, what's the opposite of a square root? A square. So I have to square both sides, and 4 squared is 16. So once I do that, the square root goes away, and then I can just solve for x. So I'm going to subtract the 5 to both sides to get 11, and then I need to divide by 3. And it's okay if you get a fraction. Don't freak out, okay? But the only thing is, I can't say that's my answer yet because I have to check it, okay? So in the original equation, we have negative 12 equals negative 10 times the square root of 3 times 11 over 3 plus 5 plus 28, okay? So I don't know if you just want to plug all that into your calculator, the negative 10 times the square root of 3 times 11 divided by 3 plus 5. And then outside we had plus 28. So if you just plug all that in and we get negative 12. So negative 12 equals negative 12. Woohoo! We found our answer. 11 over 3 is our answer. Okay, next one. All right, so the nice thing about this is the square roots are already by themselves. So to get rid of them, all I have to do is to square both sides. Then we're left with 5x plus 3 equals 3 minus x. So I have variables on both sides. I'm going to move the smaller one. 5x plus x is 6x plus 3 equals 3. To solve for x, I have to subtract 3 to both sides. So we get 6x equals 0. And then divide both sides by 6. So we get x equals 0. And yeah, I can't say that's my answer yet because I have to come down here to check it. Okay, so I have 5 times 0 plus 3. 5 times 0 is 0, so I'm just left with the square root of 3. On the right side, I have 3 minus 0, and 3 minus 0 is 3. So I've got the square root of 3 equaling the square root of 3, which is the exact same thing. So then I can say that x equals 0 is my answer. All right, number 10. So on my two different sides, I noticed that the square root's kind of already by itself. So I need to square both sides, but on the left side, that means I have x minus 5 times x minus 5 equaling x plus 15. Okay, so I need to distribute x times x, we get x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Once again, we get negative 5x. And then negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. I need to combine my like terms to get x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals x plus 15. And sorry, I didn't draw my line there. Oh, let's get the right color, Mr. Grice. So I need to subtract the x and the 15 because I want this set equal to 0. So we get x squared minus 11x plus 10. So to solve this, I need to factor. Are there any numbers that multiply to get to 10 and add to get to negative 11? And yeah, it's -1 and -10, and they both have to be negative because they need to equal a negative 11. So I get x minus 1, x minus 10 equaling 0. Everything with the variable I set equal to 0 and solve. So I would add 1 and then add 10. So I have two possible answers. But remember, they're just possible because I didn't check them. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is you're going to check both of those to see if 1, 2, or none of them are the correct answer. So go ahead and pause the video and good luck. Okay, and after checking those, we only find out that x equals 10 works. X equaling 1 had -4 equals 4, so that is not a solution. Okay, so since this video is already getting kind of long, I'm going to stop the video here, and side number 2 will be video number 2. So this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra 2 Unit 6.1 6.3 review. Thanks for watching.